So I'll just recap whatever we did yesterday. So yesterday we covered the following topics: output methods, and we talked about what are the best practices to write JavaScript code, and we also talked about declaring variables and what is hoisting. Then we talked about global scope and local scope. Then we discussed about the different data types that are present in JavaScript, and we also explored and why when the situations when we would be using var, let, and constant. Okay, so we discussed all those information yesterday, and today we'll be going over the following topics. One thing that I missed yesterday was a console table. Then we will be discussing what's the difference between stack and heap. Then we'll be going over functions that are related to strings, such as length, uppercase, and all those other methods. And then we'll be diving deeper into arrays and exploring how arrays work and how arrays are declared and all the stuff in JavaScript. Then we'll be talking about the topic shallow copy and deep copy. Then after that we'll be going over array splice and slice. Then we'll be covering the topics that are related to objects, other methods that are related to objects. So few of these methods you'd be already familiar with, and the syntax would change, and you would have gone through a few of those methods in in Python or any other language that you have learned. Okay, so yesterday you guys did a small activity where I was logging few or printing few of the information, and you were trying to get the output. Today I have a similar activity. Okay, and I guys want you, you want I want you guys to try that once. So I'll be putting three log statements over here, and please try to get the output of it. Guys, don't try to type it and look at the output in your systems. Try to get the output without looking at anywhere in the system. So okay. So I want you guys to So it just show right over here. I'll just put a stop. Okay. So I want you guys to guess the output of these three: one, two, and three. By that time, I'll start off with the next topic. Okay. So just so that you guys could get a warm up of how it starts and everything. So just give me the output of these three statements. So that will be like a warm up exercise for you guys. Then we'll be starting off with other stuff that we could discuss. Okay. Please put it in the text box. Okay. Or whatever you think the output of these things would be. So I'm logging true, I'm logging plus true, and I'm logging true, and after that I have a small string out there. Okay, just to give a warm up exercise for you guys. What do you think the answers for these would be? Yes, I would appreciate if you guys are trying to, because it won't be one way interaction then. So if you put some response, it would be helpful. Not audible or anything like that. True, error, true. Okay. Anyone else except Benka? There's like 20 students. All guys tried, then it would be really good. Yeah, true, true, true. Okay. Any other answers? Guys, I want you guys to try. True, one, true. Okay. Okay. True, one, two, true, one. Okay. True, one. Okay. So, any other responses? At least, if 10 people respond, then I'll go on. There's like 20 strength. So, one, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there's 4 responses. So you guys put some, like, few more of you guys. If you respond, then I'll continue the class. Only like 4 of you responding. So I would appreciate if more of you guys are responding to the question. And by the way, let your friends know that, like, whatever the live classes are going on, the attendance are monitored strictly. So if your friends are not attending the classes or they're not being present, it would reflect on their placement cycle too. Then we are also making sure, like, few of you guys are not attending classes, you guys are not understanding, and on the end day you are trying to answer the questions with, like, you're copy pasting answers from different sources. And if you guys know what I'm talking about, like, a few of you guys were with HTML CSS channels, you did it in the night before, and you guys are not understanding the concept. So if your friends are not attending the classes, tell that the attendance are monitored strictly. Okay. Yeah. So true one, true one, true. Okay. So we'll see the output right now. Okay. Okay. So it is true and true. So I'll just give you an explanation why it is happening with that. Over here, it is just nothing but the value is changing over here. You could see there's a difference between the color out here. Okay, it's quite obvious that this is like, yellow color, and this is like yellow, and this is white. And I will tell you the why. Because whenever we try to, like, output true, it is referring to the like, data type boolean. When we do it plus, what happens is it becomes a mathematical operator. I think you guys have heard about prefix and postfix, so that's what is happening over here. When we do plus, it is getting postfix. Then whatever happened, like, this true boolean value is getting converted to numerical value, that is, it represents 1, and you guys know about that. So, and what is happening over here in the third one is, because we are concatenating it with a string, and the third time it will become a string. Okay, so that's the thing. So we'll be moving on to the next topic, that is stack and heap. So have you guys heard about stack and heap in any other language? If you have read Python, you would have come across it. Stack and heap. Do you guys know about it? Do you guys know about the topic stack and heap? Heap memory. Yeah, heap memory. Yeah, it does refer to memory. Okay, so yes, I heard of it. Okay, so stack and heap are very important concepts when it is related to JavaScript. And whenever, I mean, like, even if you face interviews and if you know JavaScript, and this is like the, like, basic question they would be asking you. So stack is usually used to store any kind of primitive data type. So just remember, when you're referring to stack, you are referring to primitive data types. Okay, primitive data types. And, like, for example, you guys yesterday we discussed, right, such as string, number, numerical, begin, boolean, all of these will be stored in primitive, like, in stack. And whenever we come to heap, these kind of data are stored in non-primitive data, such as, like, array, objects, and the functions. These are stored in non-primitive data. So what is the difference, like, what happens if I store it in primitive, and what happens if I don't store it in like, stack or heap? So the primary differences would be, so whenever I store it in type, let me see if I can. So I will just showing you an example, like, how it works. So let's say there's a stack, and I have one more. Please excuse my diagrams. I'm pretty good at it. Just for your understanding, I'm drawing these. Let's assume that this is a stack, okay, and over here we'll make a heap. Okay, so what happens is, imagine you're trying to declare any kind of, let's say you make a constant, a is equals to something like 1, or you can make constant a is equals to 10 or something like that. And what happens over here is, whenever you declare this, then you're creating an object, and over here, then inside this you'll have a. So, like, a will be holding, like, the memory reference will be there, and whatever the value is being stored at in 10, this will be stored in right over here. Okay, so this value would be sitting over there. So that's what happened. So like whenever, for example, imagine I did something like b is equals to a or something like that. So what happens at this time is this reference point. So wherever a is been pointing, even b will be pointing to the same, and it will be given a duplicate. So what will happen is even it will be appended to the stack, and it will be having a duplicate value. So what I'm trying to say over here is, so even if I want to, let's say, even if I want to, let's say, modify the value of a or modify the value of b, then the changes would be seen in both. So I'll give you a small example of what I'm trying to say. So let's say I declared something like such as const a as 10. Okay, I'll do that. Then I'll say b is equals to a, and if I log, and if I do log a comma b, okay, so the output would be pretty simple, right? So it would be 10 and 10, because it's quite obvious that a is reference to b, and it, you can see the changes. Okay, let's say after this I change the value of b. So for your better understanding, so I'll just make this an object, so you guys have getting a better understanding. Okay, I have named something age 30. Okay, so let's say I'm referencing this to a. Okay, then, okay, never mind. Let me go back to okay, so I'll be running this. Now I'll change the value of b. Okay, I'll change the value to something like 10. Okay, so here it's quite obvious that when I run this, you'll see the values have been um, sorry, I gave the same value. So it's quite obvious that 10 and 20 would be changing. So this is what happens in stack memory. So what will happen is both of them, a is referencing to a different object, and b got a copy of it, and whenever you change the b, it will the values will change. Okay, let's say I do the similar thing. I'll just do the same thing. This is a primitive data type. We have taken a number, and it belongs to primitive data type. Now I'll take an object. Okay, I'll take an object, let's say name something, and you have age something. Okay, let's say age height something like 6. Okay, put a comma over here. So now you have seen that I assign the value of b to a, and I'll be just changing. Let's say I'll change the name. Okay, name into something sky, something like that. Okay, so now you would see you now notice the difference, that you can see that it has changed both times. Over here what we did was we had the value of a. I'll just show you so you guys can better understand it. Let's say I take c, and I have the value of 10. Okay, and I have d is equals to c, and I'll make some changes with c. Let's say I'll make it 50 or something like that. Okay, then I'll log this. Then I'll make it c comma d. So whenever I try to do this, you can see, sorry, I did some referencing mistake. I'm right. D is equals to, okay. My bad. Okay. So as you can see over here, in when it comes to data types such as non-primitive data such as objects, it is reference to it is referencing to it is referencing to a stack. So you could see over here, let me just do a box. So here I'm referring to the stack memory. So what happens is whenever we we try to assign let's say let me not confuse you guys. So okay, just give me 1 second. Okay, so I'll just make this. Let's take another one. Let's say I copy the same thing. Constant c is equals to 10, and what happens is as soon as you as soon as I create the c, an object will be made over here, that is c. Okay, and so when I reference it, so in the 17th line, we can see that I'm assigning d is equals to c. What happens over here is and another total stack, like a different stack is created for D, and it will be referenced to the same, a new object, a new space will be created for it, and it will be holding the value of whatever C is having. That would be 10. And as soon as I rewrite it to 50, so what would happen is it will get rewritten to 50. But when it comes to non-primitive data types, such as as we saw the a value, okay, so what will happen over here is okay so what will happen over here is let's say name would be the same thing, ali, and age would be something 20 as we have assigned, and next thing would be heigst, height would be 6. Okay, so what will happen is both a, let's say both a and there'll be B, both of them will be referencing to the same objects. They both will be referencing to this object. So any changes that you make regarding B or A will be reflected for both of them. Okay, that's what will be happening over here. So that's the difference between heap. Excuse my handwriting. Heap and stack. So this is the primary difference, and it is very important to know these differences. So you should know, whenever this is happening, so when you saw that, as soon as a reference to an object, and I saw a heap, so this is the primary difference between stack and heap. So with regarding heap, it will be always referencing to the object, both of them. Whenever you try to assign it, they'll be referencing to the same object. And over here the same concept won't be applied whenever you try to reference when you try to copy an object from one to another. What happens is they'll be just taking the value with the reference point. Okay, so have you guys heard about shallow copy and deep copy? Have you guys come across it? There's a concept known as shallow copy and deep copy. Maybe in Python or anything like that you came across that topic. So guys, I asked you a question. Have you guys heard about shallow copy and deep copy? No. Okay, so you guys have never heard about shallow copy and deep. Okay, that's surprising. Okay, so we'll go across. Okay, we'll go across that topic too. It's quite surprising that you guys have not heard about shallow copy and deep copy. Okay, I'll cover that topic too. Now, do you guys get an idea of what is a stack versus heap? I hope you got an idea of stack versus heap. I'll be moving on to the next concept, that is few of the string functions that you have come across. Okay, so I'll just make constant. So let's say a is equals to something. Hello. Okay, so yesterday we saw some few of the methods that is important for type conversion and all stuff. Today we'll be exploring the concept of few functions of string. I'll not go over all of them. I'll go only a few of them. So if you guys want to study or know more of string functions, I would ask you guys to go through this. Over here they would have given constructor and static methods that are present in there, and from cat prototype, bold, fixed, and all this here, methods that are present, like split, slice, and all those things. But I'll go over few of the properties that are which few of the functions that are quite important, such as uppercase, toString, and trim, and there's few of them that I'll go over. And this is a official documentation of JavaScript. And if you guys do get time, I would suggest you guys to go over here and try it out. And they'll give you exact they'll give you example case, and they'll show how everything works with an example. So this is a pretty good documentation, if you're able to study and understand what's going on. And it is quite necessary that you guys know what are the parameters passed in, what are the return values, how this method works. So I'll be going over a few of these methods, so I am not boring you guys. But if you want to know, learn more of the methods, then you could always go here. This is the official web documentation of JavaScript, and it is quite a healthy practice to read that and try to code. Okay, so right now I'll be just going over the form, like few of them. Okay, I'll show you here. Okay, dot length is like you guys would know this. So dot length would give you the length of it. Okay, so it will give you how many characters are there, and one of the other properties is to uppercase, and there's again uppercase and lowercase. You guys would know these methods. They're not that complicated. See, so these are like few methods that I would ask you guys to go over it, and like this car at and index, and these are like things that they're quite simple methods, like such as character at. So this will give you what is that character to. So these are few methods that are present. Then you can have another function called as index of which you through which you can find out the index of first occurrence. These kind of things. Okay, not zero. My bad. So as you guys know, if it is not there, it will return -1, such as like in Python the same thing. So these are the few methods that are like available in string, and it would be nice if you guys go over it. And one more thing that you could do is if you want to know more methods that is related to that. So I'll just do a okay, then I'll just print a over here. Uh, So as you guys can see over here, so this will be printing everything like constants and all this stuff. So just like you could also practice over here if you want. This also works like the same similar thing over here. Wherever we saw the JS code, we could run the code over in even in the console. And the problem is you can't run a multi-line code over here. This is like sometimes if you want to practice in like smaller bits of code, you could do that over here too. Okay, this is I just wanted to show you this method, and these are the few string functions. Now we'll be moving over one of the the methods that belongs to numbers. Yesterday we came across that. Numbers can be declared in two ways. So one is like this, and another one it would be like if you wanna do it with the use of the constructor, so such as new number 100 over here. Okay? So you could okay, I declared the same thing. So next there was a column. Okay. So if I log this, you'll see the difference. Okay. So guys, since like I've written both of them with the same thing, right? So even A is having the same value of 100, and even B is having the same value of 100, and we know that A belongs to the same type and B also belongs to the same type. So what do you guys think the output would be for A and B? Can you put it in the text box? So what do you guys think the output of A and B would be? Both of them, it's similar, right? It would be like just they both of them have holding the same value. So what do you think the difference would be in the output? Okay, 100. Any other responses than 100? It would be a little bit different than 100 and 100. Just think about it. In Python, I'm pretty sure you guys came across objects, and I declared this variable using the object that is new keyword. So the output would be a little bit different. So think about it. What the output of A comma B would be. Guys, please do respond. It's not a complicated question. I've seen only one answer from Abhishek. Rest of you guys don't know the answer or you don't want to try it, at least put something in the text box. So you're responding to my questions. There's like 22 of you. It's fine, even if it is a wrong answer, it's fine. We're here to learn. I know. Okay. 100 number object. Yeah. That's a quite good guess. Manika, that's a really good answer. Any other answers? Is there only like Beneka and Abhishek in the class? You guys could try, right? Like, at least try to guess the output. If it is wrong, it is wrong. It's fine. You guys will learn then how the output will be. 100, B 100. Okay. Okay, that's a good response too. You don't have to leave the meeting just because I asked you a question. And people ಬಿಟ್ಟೇ ಬಿಡು. Okay, I got only 4 responses. No one else is understanding, or no one else want to try. 100, B 100. Okay. Okay. So guys, now you're leaving the meeting, and like you'll be faced with the same questions in the interview. Then you'll do the same thing. You'll just start leaving the interview. So you guys tried a good way. So a number 100 and B 100, there was close answers. So what happens is it will be something like this. It will be the output will be in such a way that it will be an object. So since you're trying to access an object, now here you created this variable with such as in with a new method. So this will be reference to an object. So as you can see, the output will be as such number 100. And this is one of the ways that you should know, because if you are facing questions in the interview, you should know how the output would be, and whenever I create an object, what's the difference would be, and all this stuff. So let's say if I want to print the exactly as I said, then I would be using the method toString. Okay. So toString is the method that I would be using. Then it would give the same exact response for me. So it would be 100 and 100. But again, it would be a string, not a number. Rather, it would be a string. Okay. So and two other methods that are quite used quite often is as you can see over here, two fixed. Even you saw over here, it is a quite commonly used method, and it's saying right over here you can read that returns a string representing a number in a fixed point notation. So what does it mean? So let's say maybe I'm trying to calculate something, like usually with if you're writing any business related applications, or any applications that are using calculations. Okay, and you don't want to show the whole reoccurring decimal places. For example, you have something like 6.333, something like that, and at this time you'll be showing up to only two decimal places, something like that, as you can see the output over here. So if you want to show up to certain number of digits or something, like let's say I want to make it 5 or something. So depending on however you want your input to be, based on that you could show that. So usually the common method that is used, and during building applications, is you'd be using two fixed of two. So this is a common method, and after this you have two precision. Okay. Okay, as you can see over here, two precision. Okay, we'll just go over wide desktop. So you can see over here a string containing a number of represented either in exponential or fixed notation with a specified number. So what does it mean by um, exponential notation? So you guys have seen when you're trying to do calculations, you would have seen a letter E or something. Let's say you make it 3. Okay, so you'll see the when you see the output, you'll know. So let me make it 1. See, as you can see over here, it is giving 1e plus 2. So I think you guys have seen this in some exponential form. So whenever I do, probably if I make 2, I don't see the output. Okay, so you can see over here what is happening. So it is just an exponential power. If you want to output these two, so these are the few common methods that are used in two numbers, two fixed and two precision. These are you should know how it works. You don't need to memorize it. You should have an idea of how it works. Okay, so this is for streak and memory, and third one would be going over is now we'll be diving into arrays and how arrays work and all the stuff. So first off, as you guys have seen in any other languages, array would be declared with what? How do you declare an any array? Let's say even in Python, what's Python, there is no array, but you will be using list. You have to use numpy array, but what is the syntax for creating a list in Python? Can you just let me know a few of the properties and how array is declared in Python or any other language that you guys know? Yeah. So you guys are quite right about it. So you'll be declaring with the use of a square brackets. So I will do the same thing over here. I will be declaring with this square brackets, and so the accessing would also be the same. Let's say if I want to print the same thing, it would go the same way. I'll be printing, and if I want to access any particular element, such as it is again zero based indexing. Okay, and you would do the same thing. So let's say if you want to access the zeroth element or the first element, you do the same thing, such as in other languages. Okay, and one of the things that you would know is when you're trying to append an array, there's if you want to add something to an element, there's many ways. So one would be using concatenation, and you guys would have come across that. So let's say I want to declare another. Okay, I make it 50 and 60 and 70 as so on. Okay, and I make another. Okay, so you can see over here, whenever I try to declare this, and if I log this, it is quite obvious. Then I will get the output of C. Okay, so the output is quite predictable. Then it would be having, okay, fine, okay. It would be having the concatenated result. So whatever is in A, it will be concatenated to B. And one more method that is commonly used in array would be push, where you're trying to append few values. Let's say 6, 8. Okay, and okay, so even it just pushed, I think. Let me print A. Okay, as you can see that the new values got pushed. And one more thing that you guys need to know with the push, and you could store multiple values. And one more property about arrays in HTML in JavaScript would be it is heterogeneous. You could store any type of data in it. Like you could store strings, and you could store objects, any kind of objects that you want to store. Let's take me high, something like that. It is heterogeneous, and you could store any type of data that you want. It's not restricted. It's homogeneous. You're supposed to carry only one type of data. You're free to carry in the you can have many various different types of data in an array. And not to confuse you guys, I'll just take this away for now. So we are just working with the same data type. Okay, and I'll tell you why we need to work on the same data type. So it's just easier for us. Okay, and the third method would be something called a spread operator, and spread operator is quite important. It is it is very much needed. So let's say how does the spread operator work is it starts off with a triple dot. So you have a triple dot, then you will have a, then you have, let's take 7 comma 8 comma 9. Okay, whenever you do this, what happens is it will spread, when with as the operator name is spreading, means it will distribute it. So it will take any values that you've given in it, it will distribute it, then it will assign by itself. That's really it saves a lot of time, and it is very useful. Where if you go to React.js or something like that, this you could see this triple dot a lot. Okay, if you are improving your knowledge in JavaScript, and if you see in a little bit of complex code like related applications, you would see this notation a lot. So it is quite important. So you are aware of that notation. Okay, so as you can see over here, 10, 20, 30, and 40 values were spread. Okay, so it is just taking this value and it is putting over here, and it is spreading it. Okay, and this spread operator can be used in such a way. For example, I have a constant. Let's take a, let's take d, y, comma, k, comma, g, or something like that. And okay, let me select it. Okay, so I'll just Read this operator 1, 2, 3, and A. I'll show you another example on this. So basically, we try to do this, like, spread operator will distribute, like, whatever the integers that you have in there, it will be distributing to the, like, it will distribute and it will assign over here. So that is one of the ways. And moving on, there's something called as slice and splice in, like, arrays. That is quite important. Have you guys heard about slice property in Python? Have you guys come across slicing in Python, slicing strings? Okay, can you guys tell me an example how we would use slice and why do we need slicing? AngularJS. Okay, so why did you guys use it? So what do you think it's? Why do we need slicing? That's really nice. To get substring. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So slicing, it is used for, like, getting, like, certain part of the code. Okay, now we'll be. I'll just go with that. Extracting some part, dividing it into parts. Okay. You guys keep responding. I'll just write the code. So yes, constant a equals to slice. So as you guys know, it is start. So you can see over here. So what does this slice do? It is like, it start off with the same thing. Like, as you've seen, it will have a start and it will have an end parameter, and, like, end of the specified portion. This exclusively of the element at the end. It's, and one more thing is, so it will return, like, copy. So you can see this wide, array over here. It returns a copy of a section of an array for both start and end. A negative index can be used to indicate. Okay, so it will return a copy. It won't modify the actual element. So that's the main difference between slice and spice. So we'll go with that. So as you can see, I will give something 2 to, let's take, 4. Then it will give me the output of, if I just log that. Okay. So it's quite obvious, it will be 30 and 48. So let's take, like, I'll show an example. So when I'm doing this the same thing and I print out array, so you could see that my array won't be modified. My array would be exactly same, and we are just, as you guys said, we are just extracting it. We are not modifying array, we are just extracting the information that we want. So let's say I'm not going to do that. I'll just do splice in another operator. So you'll see what happens when I do this. Okay, so when I do splice, this is what will happen. So you guys saw that, like, whenever I do splice, what happens is those values, wherever I'm providing the index from the range, whatever the index range that I'm providing, that range will be taken off. So whatever the values that are present in that range, it will be deleted. So the actual value, whichever there is in the array, it will be deleted. So that's the primary difference between slice and splice. Okay. If you guys, did it make sense? So you should know that it is quite, like, one of the things that is quite commonly used. Okay, so just a small activity. I want you guys to, like, try to get the output of this. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You don't have to type this whole thing, original array and all this stuff. You could just type 1 and you could put the output, 2 and you could put the output. So as you guys saw here, I'll just keep this over here so you guys know what's going on. So try to get the output of this. So I explain you what is slice and spice. So splice will take out, it will modify the value, removes the element from an array, and if necessary, inserts new element in their place, returning the deleted element. So that's what slice does. Splice does, and, like, slice will just, as you guys said, it will just extract the values. Okay. So I think you guys got an idea. So try to get the output of this. Okay. So for this question, guys, there's like 21 students. I would expect at least 15 of you to respond to this question. It's not that complicated. I'm just asking you to difference between the output over in slice and the output in splice. So try to get the output of these. ನಿನ್ನೆ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀನಿ ಆಯ್ತಾ ನೀನು ಕುಟುಕ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಸೀರೆ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ ನೆನ್ನೆ 40 ಇದ್ರೆ 20 ಬಂದು ನೀನೇನು ಕೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಮಾಡೋದು ನಾನು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು I guess not understanding. Do you guys need help? I didn't see any response from you guys. Or you guys need time to type. It's a small activity. I'm just helping you so you guys would understand the concept. Okay. Just give me a thumbs up if you guys are just typing and you need a little bit more time, so I can just pause for a bit. Okay. Okay. You can take your time and type it. Okay. So you guys keep typing there. I'll just. I'll just. So yeah, Benika, you were right about that. Okay, so we'll go over the output just now. It is not just one, just two. Okay, so here you could see that same thing happening. So what happens is whenever you're trying to slice the portion, so you could see that after slice, those elements would be taken away, and when you try to splice it, in slicing, it will just extract that value, and the in the original array won't be modified. And when you come to after slicing, these values will be taken off, and you'll just have apple date and elderberry. Okay, so this is the output, and now we'll be going over other methods of array. I'll just so the other method, there's is array, then there's from. So we'll see what does it do. Is array will create. Is array will provide you. Okay, this array. So as you can see over here, is array is also another method that is present in arrays. Okay, so it will provide you the output saying that if it is an array or not. So if you take any kind of thing, it will say, okay, I'm running the wrong JavaScript. One sec. So it'll just it will tell you whether this is an array or not. So if I say that this if we make this a string or something like that, then you can see that output will be false. So this will help you in that. This is one of the functions that you're supposed to know. And next one will be from a string. So let's say this is a string, right? And I'll make this hello or something like that. Okay, then I wanna convert this into a list. So then, like, I want to convert this into a, then I'll just use from. Okay, when I do this, you could see that, like, my string will be converted to a array. You could see it gets spreaded, then it will, like, it will just start assigning itself. So this is another operator, and another one is like, the other method that you could use is like, off as a similar function. Okay, let's say, like, it will convert objects. Like, if you have any objects, let's say I'll create an object over here, such as, like, name something and age something. Then I'll create off over here, and you guys could see that it will be converted into, like, you see it will be an array inside that. So this is what happens when you use off. So these are, like, few methods that you're supposed to be aware in arrays, and, like, array off and array, like, um, array from, and these are the two things. And now we'll be moving on to, like, shallow copy and deep copy. So what happens in shallow copy is, as we saw earlier, only the, like, the reference will be taken, like, the whole copy will be taken. And if you make any manipulations, then it will be, like, for example, if I take, I'll show an example. So so let's take, I make an original. Okay, I create an object named original, and I have name something, and I give an address, like, 8 city or something like that. So I'll provide this. Okay, so, and I'll make a, so this is how shallow copy works. So I'll just make constant shallow copy of that, and it will be dot. Okay, I'll make that, and we'll just, so I'll just change any of that. Okay, let's take, I'll take shallow copy dot, I'll take probably age. Okay, then I'll try to modify it. Okay, so, and now I'll print it so you guys can see what's going on. Okay, so now what happens, it has shallow copy. That means it is not, like, okay, my bad. I have to. Okay, you see that the original data is also not modified. Okay, so as we saw over here, you can see that, like, there's no, like, like, changes made with the original. The original has stayed the same. So whenever we make a shallow copy, what happens is the whole copy is created. Okay, so nothing is changed over there. So whenever we take, like, take this and copy paste it over here, so we could see that, like, my bad. Okay, so I take the original and I paste both of them, and we could see that there's no changes that are made. Okay, what happened? Okay, there's naming error. Okay, so you guys can see that, like, in the edges there is a change. Okay, so it has changed, like, the values has changed, and we could see that, like, only one of them have changed. That means, like, the object has given a different, like, there's a whole different copy. It is not referencing to the same thing anymore. So it is having different things, and it's not. So whenever we make a deep copy, what happens is, so let's say I don't do this. Okay, I'm just gonna assign this right away. Okay, and I do the same thing, and you guys could see that, like, changes are made both of them. So this is the difference between a shallow copy and deep copy. So you guys should know how these work. Okay, all right. Now I'll be moving on to few other more, like, some of the methods that are present in an array. So such as, like, we will go over, like, there's something called as flat, another method known as flat. So why do we need this flat is, what happens is, sometimes we would have arrays that are nested. Let's say, like, since arrays can hold, nested attributes, so I'll make 1, 2, 3. Okay, then this is very rare situation in programming that you would come across something like this. I'm just giving an example. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, so as you guys can see over here, there's an array, and inside that we have a nested array. Okay, and if we could see that in an array we have one more nested array. So imagine I wanted to make this array in such a way, look, as you can see over here, I'll can in flat I can give it up to depth, like how much ever depth I want I could give that. And whenever I try to do that, let me clear this so you guys are not confused. Okay, so I do this. What happens is it will just like you can, so we can see over here, this one level of depthing is already done. So whatever the depth level I give, for example, over here, I'm just drilling it down to one. So we could see like whenever we try to output it, we could see that it has only gone one level in. And if I give it like I have to go to the depth of three. Okay, then it will be to the depth of three, and we could see it will become one array, and it can go all the way up to infinity. You can see over here it will be infinity. If I provide infinity, same thing will happen. So even though my nested, like how much ever nesting that I put over here, it won't be like it won't make any change. So this is called flatting method. This is also quite important. So okay, so that those are the topics of array, and I thought I could cover the topic of objects too, but the class will end like in 2 minutes. So these are the, like I'll just recap what are the topics that we can cover today. So we completed stack versus heap, and we came across few of the methods that are present in string, and we discussed few methods such as which is related to numbers such as to fixed and to precision. Then we covered shallow copy and deep copy, and we came across a topic known as splice and slice that are present in array, and few of the methods that are important methods such as concat, push, spread operator. Then we saw flat, then we saw is array, then we saw from, then we saw off. So these are few methods that are important in array. So these are the topics that we have covered. If you have any questions, you could stay in the class, else you could leave the class. Is there any questions that any topics that you want me to repeat? If not, you're free to exit the class. Guys, the class is ended. If you have any questions, you could stay. Otherwise, you could leave the class.